Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be going over 3 of the most anticipated ships ever to come to War Thunder, and of course, they will be coming in the next major update entitled Leviathans, and of course, this is the Leviathans dev server. And in this video, I will be going over specifically the Iowa, the Bismarck, and the Yamato. Just so you guys know, when it comes to the dev server, so many things can change up to and even beyond the release of the update, so on and so forth. You guys know the spiel, and also being that this is the dev server, there's not really a ton of people playing right now. It says that there's 2,128 people online, and I don't know if I'll be able to get into a naval battle, but we can certainly try. If not, we can definitely try out these weapons in test drive mode. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Oh, and by the way, if you guys want to see the other vehicles like the Vanguard, for example, or the Roma, then let me know in the comments below. I would definitely like to do a video on that, but if not, that's totally fine as well. I know naval is a bit divisive, but when it comes to this major update, maybe more people can play naval. I already have, and this isn't just me buying up ships from this new major update. I actually have the Sachin and the Scharnhorst in my game, like in my regular game, not just the dev server account. I like playing naval, at least when it comes to the Blue Water Fleet. But that said, the Iowa, this will be a rank 7 battle rating 8.7 battleship, and it will be coming after the USS Tennessee. Now, this is a very interesting ship because this is the last battleship that the US ever built. When I say the last battleship, I mean the Iowa class in general. I'm not entirely sure which one was the last one in particular. Maybe it was the Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. Again, correct me in the comments below. But this is a big ship. 5,700, 540 tons, max speed of 60 kilometers per hour, and 16-inch guns. 3 triple turrets of 16-inch guns, plus ridiculous, absolutely insane levels of anti-aircraft fire. This is probably going to be, at least before we get any sort of like SPAA, like some missile-based systems, this is probably going to be the absolute king of SPAA, probably the most versatile battleship, or most versatile ship in all of War Thunder. As you can see here, 406 millimeters, otherwise known as 16-inch, and these are some really powerful shells. Now, they don't necessarily have the most TNT equivalent. They have 18.18 kilograms with the APCBC, and even the HE 68.28 kilograms. It's not awful. It's pretty good, but it's not absolutely terrible. You actually see some lower BR ships kind of reaching similar-ish sizes. If I'm not mistaken, correct me in the comments below. But the thing here is that this has 857 millimeters of armor pen at max. And even if you're looking at like 30 degrees at 10,000 meters, you're still getting over 500 millimeters of armor pen with this, which is just absolutely crazy. And if I sound like I'm breathing heavy, well, it's because I've been waiting for this for a long time. Now, I'm going to be interested to see exactly how they actually do the targeting on this, because the Iowa is well known for having one of the most advanced fire control systems ever placed on a battleship. So I'm not entirely sure how they're going to do it, because I know that they simplified aiming in War Thunder a few months ago, but we will have to see. Now, that being said, let's just kind of go over to the Bismarck, and if you guys want to skip ahead just to see the gameplay, you can certainly do so. I won't be viewing these ships for all too much longer, but I feel like it's important. Actually, before we look at the Bismarck, these can fire, when fully aced, at 2 rounds per minute. Not bad, but when you look at the Bismarck, obviously its displacement is messed up. I don't think it has the proper armor or whatever. So this vehicle is definitely still dev server worthy. Like I said, everything can and will change, but when you look at this as 38 centimeter cannons, not absolutely crazy powerful, but still over 700 millimeters of armor pen. They have 18.8 kilograms of TNT equivalent, but you also see a larger amount of weapons. So as you can see here, you have the standard HE, you have the HE with the base fuse. These actually go through 524 millimeters of armor pen, or of armor rather, and then of course you also have your time fuse HE shells, and you also have your smaller 15 centimeter cannons, which is interesting because this is bigger than the secondary cannons that you get on the Iowa. So you get what, 12 of those, whereas the 15 centimeters you get 20 of those. So take that as you will, but the German does have bigger secondaries. Otherwise, this is a very interesting ship because it has a 2.6 round per minute fully aced reload speed, which is phenomenal. When it comes to cannon shell like sizes of this caliber, I guess you could say, cannons this big, that's a big deal. Unfortunately, you only get 8 cannons, in 4 double turrets, which kind of sucks because you get 9 cannons in total with the Iowa. But you know what? Again, you still get that really nice reload speed. And for the most part, like when you look at the armor pen on this, at 30 degrees, 10,000 meters, you're still getting over 400 millimeters of armor pen, which is still going to be plenty sufficient for the vast majority of ships that you fight, and it's going to be pretty gnarly. Also, this thing moves pretty decently quick. 57 kilometers per hour, not the absolute fastest. Again, we're going to have to wait and see exactly how this comes to game, once it actually gets released. But as of right now, that is not all too bad. And if you guys didn't see before, this will be coming in after the Sachin, which is pretty interesting. I kind of would have thought after the Scharnhorst, maybe after the Scharnhorst. No, by the way, the Gneisenau will also be coming. 7.7 BR, at least as of right now. It's basically just the Scharnhorst plus bigger cannons. So you have the 38 centimeter cannons that it was supposed to receive, whereas the Scharnhorst has the 283 millimeter cannons. But of course, this will have fewer cannons, having only 6 in total, whereas again, the Scharnhorst has 9 in total. So it'll basically have the same armament as the Bismarck, except it will be a bit weaker when it comes to overall armor and I believe some other things like secondary ordnance and whatnot. And then of course, finally, we have the Yamato. This is the ship I feel like so many people have wanted for so long, because this vehicle has the largest cannons ever placed on a battleship ever in history. This is it. And there have been some proposals, I think like the larger H-class battleships, for example, that Germany looked at during World War II or before World War II. They were supposed to have like up to 20-inch cannons. There have been some proposals for some 20-inch cannons placed on battleships, but obviously that never happened, and thus we have the Yamato being the top gun ship ever made. Although I think that there were a few British ships, like some really weird British ships constructed around World War I, and let me know in the comments below some more details, because I forget exactly what it is. It had like an 18.1 inch cannon, so that would, I think, be about equivalent to the Yamato, maybe a touch bigger, but I may be wrong. Now these have a 1.9 round per minute reload speed when fully aced, which is actually pretty good, considering the absolute mass of these shells. Again, 460 millimeters. This is 10% larger, basically, than what you get on the Iowa. And you also have 155 millimeter secondaries. So when you're looking at 10,000 meters and 30 degrees, you get almost 540 millimeters of armor pen, and this has over 25 kilograms of TNT equivalent. Now, when it comes to the HE shell, it's a little bit weird, but it only has 64.77 kilograms of HE equivalent. But again, that's not really what this ship was known for. It didn't really have great HE shells. Rather, it had phenomenal armor-piercing shells, which is what we see on full display here. And even the secondaries are pretty decent. Like, these are going to be more than enough for the most part to be able to take out a lot of things like light cruisers and even damage pretty heavily, rather, some heavy cruisers. Now, this also has some float planes. I mean, the other vehicles do as well. I don't know if the Bismarck does, but I know the Iowa has some float planes, which, by the way, the float planes on the Iowa are actually really, really good. They come with 2 250-pound bombs, come with 2 HMGs each, and they have a pretty good rate of climb, plus decent enough top speed and maneuverability, so they're not bad at all. But going back to the Yamato, these are a bit more basic float planes. They are what they are, but the ship itself has absolutely insane amounts of secondary ordnance, as you can see here. I mean, like, it's just crazy how much ordnance or how much weaponry this thing has mounted around the center of it. Now, I don't think that this quite has as much as the Iowa. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but it will still be a more than potent anti-aircraft armament. So this thing will be able to do plenty. It's not as quick as the other ships, as you could imagine, but it is extremely well armored with 650 millimeters of armor pen, or of armor at the max here, and as you can see, 660 on the front of the turrets, which is just incredible. 560 around the turrets themselves. It's just absolutely insane how much this has. Now, apparently the Iowa in real life, Future Stein here, I meant to say Yamato. had the ability to actually turn quite well. Like, it was a fairly maneuverable vehicle, all things considered, and in my experience in War Thunder, it really doesn't maneuver all too well thus far, but again, we'll have to wait and see. That being said, let's go ahead, take these things out, if not for an actual match, because again, we are at the mercy of the dev server. We can definitely go ahead, try these things out in a test drive. If you're still with me at this point in time in the video, thanks for watching. Let's get into some live firing with the Iowa, and then of course the Bismarck and Yamato. Okay, so here we are with the Iowa. As you can see, we are tearing these ships and now aircraft up. And now, one thing actually they did mention regarding anti-aircraft fire is that it should be less accurate. Just look at that, it's blanketing the sky. It should, in theory, be less accurate. I'm not entirely sure to what degree, but they did mention it probably will be less accurate, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm just waiting for this turret to turn around. But they did say specifically it's going to be a bit less accurate when a plane is maneuvering. So when it's, firing in a straight line, or when the plane is moving in a straight line, it will just be able to kind of hone in on it a bit easier. Now, otherwise, let's go ahead and... Oh, my goodness! Now, holy crap. Like, wow. You had 5 effective hits and 1 pierced through with no damage. That's insane. So, you might be wondering why I'm playing this in test drive mode. And quite honestly, it's because I actually did get a few matches of Naval RB. But I tried doing commentary on it, and it's just ridiculous. And so, more or less the same... Oh, Jesus. Like, what the heck? These are powerful cannons. Like, obviously a 16-inch cannon is going to be powerful, but to see it like this, we might get ourselves an ammo rack explosion. But Naval RB commentary, that's just live commentary at least, which is how I do it. There we go. Ammo rack, SMS Westfalen. It's just not an easy game to play. So this thing is pretty damn powerful. We got that thing done within a minute. Bear in mind, that's an older vehicle. It's not like a World War II era vehicle, but it's still a battleship. You know, battleships are battleships nonetheless. Whether you get, 200, 300, 400 millimeters of armor is still that much armor. So, let's see here. It seems like the rangefinder is a touch off. Bear in mind, this is a fully aced Iowa, right? Like, the whole crew is fully aced. Oh my goodness. The whole crew is fully aced, so you have everything optimized, including the range finding. So, I'm not entirely sure how accurate it is before, actually, so I had to reset it, because I was firing... I think the rangefinder said that the Westfalen, which is the vehicle I just blew up, it had said that that vehicle was something like 0.12 kilometers closer than it really was. So I was just over-firing it. But let's go ahead and just fire on this guy with an HE. Then we can go ahead and take an HE barrage to the smaller vehicle. Very nice. Look at that. And we might get ourselves an ammo rack detonation if the fire doesn't go out. But this thing is just absolutely crazy. Then, of course, let's go ahead and just move this thing forward a bit. But it does have a 60 kilometer per hour top speed, which is, again, very nice. Let's go ahead and just fire. Hopefully I can hit him without looking like too much of a doofus. And this is full HE. Boom. Then we're just going to do one full HE barrage on the on this light cruiser here. Might be the Cone, if I'm not mistaken. And then we can go ahead and just switch out to the Bismarck and then the Yamato. But overall, I am pretty impressed with this thing. I mean, with battleships, like much the same with tanks and all that, really what you're getting is you're just getting a larger ship, right? Like you're getting bigger cannons, whatever. But this vehicle is really, I think, the complete package. It's probably, like I said before, the most versatile of the ships, in that it has a very capable armament, pretty decent enough reload speed. Granted, you have it fully aced, and great maneuverability, great speed, and it also has, again, just a really, really nice level of versatility overall. So we're just going to wait for this to land. Hopefully we can get ourselves a kill from it, but even if we don't, that's fine. Not a problem. But as you can see, just totally annihilated. So, that said, let's go ahead and test out the Bismarck. So, here we are with the Bismarck, and as you can see, it does have a much lower amount of fire, I guess you could say, when it comes to the anti-aircraft, and also when it comes to its just general secondaries. So, it's not really quite as much, but it does still seem effective, and it looks like the anti-aircraft fire, they're bigger guns rather than what we saw with the Iowa, where it was like a whole bunch of, like a mix of small and medium-sized guns. These do seem to be a bit bigger. Now that said, let's go ahead, and also they are firing automatically on these ships, which is pretty interesting. So, we are going to launch directly here. It's probably like, what, that was Wyoming, if I'm not mistaken. Fire all four at the same time, and as you can see, 22 seconds. 22 seconds is how long it takes. Not bad. And you are getting a, like with this shell, it has a 708 millimeter, let's see. Not bad. And we set a fire in it. That's nice. So it can fire through quite a decent amount of armor. Again, these are not the biggest cannons, but this is also a slightly lower BR than the Iowa and Yamato. But you're still getting over 700 millimeters of armor pen at max, 400 millimeters at 30 degrees and 10,000 meters, which is probably close-ish to what we have, and boom, went right through, blew up that the ammo rack there. So we're going to go ahead and fire on this ship. This was that, a heavy cruiser. And I'm going to also now switch over to the base fuse HE. This has 32.6 kilograms of armor pen, and it can go through at 10,000 meters, 30 degrees, oh, look at that. And also the new effects, they look beautiful. This can go through over 300 millimeters of armor, which is just excellent. And you're almost doubling how much HE filler is in it. So it's pretty damn decent. Hopefully we can get ourselves an ammo rack explosion. That's pretty much what I aim for whenever I play naval. So I always aim for the ammo rack, and a lot of the time, especially on American ships, for whatever reason, I do quite well with that. I aimed a touch low, but no biggie. We do have a very, very nice reload. Now, as you can see, this doesn't have native secondaries like player-controlled secondaries like what the Iowa has. So the only thing... Oh, wow, the secondaries just tore that apart. I believe they are automatically firing 15 millimeters, and we have ourselves some nice hits. I'll fire in the back here, but the 15s are automatically going after those ships. So I'm wondering, again, being that the Bismarck is not completed yet, like I said, just the armor isn't completely, I guess, completed. Maybe we'll see that being completed, and maybe we'll have... Holy crud. Jeez Louise. Maybe we'll have better access or easier access to that. But this also seems like a quite good vehicle. Just in general. I mean, obviously the Bismarck, it's not going to be a bad vehicle. But holy crud, man. This base fuse ammunition? I mean, I'm sure you could take out some battle cruisers with that. But when it comes to just, in general, like heavy and light cruiser, you saw what I did to that ship. And you have that really nice reload speed? This thing's 8.3? Holy cow, man. What a beauty. Like, this thing is just ripping them apart. Got a kill right there. USS Raleigh blew up the ammo rack. We're going to go ahead and just fire one more shot on this fella over here. And hopefully we can get ourselves the thing. But, like I said... automatically firing secondary cannons, it's pretty interesting, and they seem to be quick firing too. So this actually might be a better anti-tank or better anti-shipping vehicle than what we saw from the Iowa. You know, I think the Iowa is better overall. The thing that we see pretty much when it comes to American vehicles, American ships, is that they typically from like 5.0 beyond BR onwards have the best anti-aircraft in-game. But, and that's obviously still true of the Iowa, but this really, when it comes to anti-shipping, like for just general purpose anti-ship work, this is actually incredibly good. Like, between its base fuse HE, just for regular ships like light cruisers or heavy cruisers and smaller, it's ripping them apart. So I said, probably going to get a kill. Oh, we're just about to have the kill, so that's pretty much a kill there. Let's go ahead, jump into the Yamato, or Yamato, however you want to pronounce it, and end this video. But not bad, and again, this thing is only barely slower than the Iowa, which is just crazy. At least per stat card as of right now. Let's get into the Yamato. So here we are with the Yamato, or Yamato, and this vehicle is, in my opinion, this is probably the most desired ship in game. Like, this is going to be the ship that most people have been wanting probably forever. And hopefully this gets more people to play War Thunder Naval. You know, like, one could argue, yeah, World of Warships is a bit more fun. You know, I used to actually play World of Warships, like, more than I thought. And it was a pretty fun game, but in my opinion, War Thunder just overall is a better game. Now, let's go ahead and fire. Once we get this cannon to, or this turret to come around fully. But the turrets are a bit slow, unfortunately. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, where are the beehive shells? And unfortunately, they are not in the game, but I feel like Gaijin offered, or at least when they were doing their dev server live stream, they offered a pretty decent enough explanation for it. And, oh wow, look at that. We have our automatic firing secondaries. But they said that basically the beehive shells, they didn't really do much. They weren't really effective shells in general. Oh my god. That was crazy loud. But they weren't really effective shells in general, which they weren't. And also, they were... let's see what this does. Can we get ourselves... Oh, baby! Immediately killed! That was the quickest kill we had. So, again, 30 degrees, 10,000 meters, 537 millimeters of armor pen, which makes sense. Let's go ahead and fire some AP on this guy here. And I'm going to probably go ahead and just switch over to the HE. Not that the HE are amazing, but they're still pretty damn good. I feel like the Bismarck probably has the best HEs because they... Oh my goodness. Really? We're 2 for 2. Because the Bismarck combines good or decent enough armor pen with good reload and also decent enough explodey bits on the inside. So it seems like the Bismarck has the best HE shells, but I may be wrong on that. Let's go ahead and just see what this looks like. Ugh. I almost kind of feels like that's underwhelming in a way. Not to take anything from Gaijin, but that was not a great hit, but it still absolutely annihilated that ship. This is amazing. But yeah, anyways, going back to the beehive shells. Oh, and that took him out. The secondaries. The 100, what? How big are these secondaries? If I'm not mistaken, I think they're like 150-ish millimeters. But the beehive shells are not coming to War Thunder simply because it would just lag people's computers. They are not a very effective shell in real life. It was just not something that would benefit the game, really. But holy crap. Yeah, this thing definitely wins, like, just straight out armor, like, pen, or just the firepower reward. This is it. This wins it. Yamato, hands down. Again, when it comes to versatility, I think thus far Iowa has it. But when it comes to maybe destroying smaller ships, Bismarck might have it. So, like, the battleship killer is definitely going to be Yamato. When it comes to overall who you'd want on your team to kind of be multifunctional, maybe Iowa. But when it comes to destroying smaller ships, Bismarck. And, you know, funny enough, that was the historical purpose of each of them, right? Bismarck was envisioned as a commerce raider, as a heavy commerce raider, so it would destroy, typically, smaller ships, which it would do quite well. And Iowa was kind of like a Swiss Army knife, if you will, which, obviously, it does quite well. And then, of course, you had your Yamato, which is just, I think it was actually designed more as a battleship killer, or as a capital ship killer, as it were. And it does that quite well in War Thunder. So, it's just kind of funny how these things kind of actually translated over. Now, let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to put this thing full steam ahead here. And also, I want to see what the maneuverability is. Because as, you know, a lot of people have said, they said that this vehicle... Oh, look at that. We got ourselves the kill. They said that Yamato was supposed to have been a fairly maneuverable vehicle. Some people claim that it could even outturn something like a light cruiser. I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is, but let's get this thing up to speed. It should top out at around 50 kilometers per hour, which is actually pretty impressive for a vehicle this size, especially considering that I think it was starting to be built in the late 30s. It was definitely designed in the 30s. So for a vehicle like this, just crazy, right? So we are near max speed. I am on full right rudder, so we should be turning to the right. And it's just not moving all too much. Now, bear in mind, I kind of did forget to do a maneuverability test on Bismarck and the and Iowa, but I can almost guarantee you that those things are going to be substantially more maneuverable than this, which is unfortunate. But in general, like I said, when it comes to just overall big ship killing, this is probably going to be the ship that you want. But thus far, we've probably only turned, like, what, 60 degrees? 70 degrees, maybe? We are getting closer to 90 degrees, but it's taken us quite a while just to be able to do this. So it seems like Yamato is a pretty unmaneuverable ship as of current, which is a bit of a shame. Let's go ahead and fire off one of these planes. Kind of wish I had done that for the Iowa, but it is what it is. Oh, and by the way, guys, I'm sure Tirpitz is going to be introduced into War Thunder eventually. Tirpitz was a heavier version, basically, of the Bismarck. I think it had more anti-aircraft guns. It actually had torpedo launchers on the deck, so it was just a much heavier, more heavily armed vehicle. And I think it also had a more powerful engine setup, so it was pretty interesting in that regard. Oh, and by the way, this only has 4 60-kilogram bombs, so don't really expect all too much from that. The American scout plane is definitely much better on the Iowa than what we see here on the Yamato. But again, that's to be expected. This is an older plane. The Iowa has a float plane that was developed decades, or not decades, but years later. What the hell? What? What? Oh my god. What? I knew we took out Yamato via via air attack, but this is just excessive. 60-kilogram bombs? What? That was not planned. Oh my god. What? That was just ridiculous. Oh my god, maybe it's just an incomplete armor model. Oh man, I never expected that, but either way, and this thing has 3 people in it, really? Thanks so much for watching. Please, if you don't mind, consider liking, commenting, subscribing. I can't believe what just happened, but yeah, I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone, and don't self-hit your Yamato with your scout planes.